Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the live stream. Glad to have you back. Welcome to 2023, first day of the year. Hopefully get it started out right. With Noodle going all over the place. Let me get my comments going here. Let's see. What's going on, Crypt Keeper? Happy New Year, buddy. Figure we'll get it started right and start the live stream first day of the year so I can go ahead and get in the habit of doing it every weekend. So while everybody's filing in, we'll go ahead and give the disclaimer for the replay crew. In this stream, feel free to ask me anything you want. I may not have the answer. I may attempt to give you an answer, but that does not guarantee that it's factual. Always do your own research. I'm just a regular guy taking regular guesses. What's going on, Dave? Welcome to the stream. What's up, Brandon? Welcome to the stream. Happy New Year to everybody. So, as I was saying, you know, everybody that comes in, feel free to ask whatever you want. Ask any questions, updates, random, life, reptiles, fish. Doesn't matter. We can talk about whatever we want. Until we get things going, we'll do a little update here. I think I can swing my camera around. I've got some of my tanks emptied out, and I've got some other tanks redone. So got some things in works, working on in the fish room area, and a few things coming up in the reptile room area. Look out for a new video coming out soon. Hopefully going to be building some new enclosures, because this guy got blessed with a nice Lowe's gift card, and I know what I'm spending it on. It's going to be material for an enclosure. Let's see. I didn't do this last time. I just learned how to do it. I can highlight a comment. Do you have any experience with saltwater aquariums? I'm thinking of getting one. So I personally have zero experience with the salt life. I've made many jokes that I'll never do salt. Not because I don't like them, not because they're not beautiful, because they definitely are, but because they're very expensive and I'm very addictive. So I could see myself going broke really quick with salt. But I have multiple friends that do salt. I know just enough to know about salt water, but not enough to consider myself knowledgeable. And for good reason, because the thing with me is if I start watching videos and doing research, I'll do whatever I'm watching videos of. In fact, that's how I got into tarantulas. My wife saw me watching tarantula videos one day, and she was like, "What are you watching?" I was like, "I'm just watching a video about tarantula." And she was like, no, turn that off right now. I was like, "Why?" She's like, "Because if you watch about it, you'll get it." I was like, "No, I won't." 3 months later, we have tarantulas. So I've learned my lesson. I don't study up on salt water because I can't afford it. But maybe one day. One day when I got a new house and I've got everything I want and I just, hey, time to tinker with a salt tank. I'm sure that day will come. My wife would like to have one. I just know me, and I would go over the top and want all the expensive fish and corals and have $5 grand in a tank. And I'm not ready for that. I'm ready to put $5 more grand in snakes. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting some things moving on. I've recently went from 19 running aquariums. Now I'm down to 9. So I dropped 10 tanks in 1 week. Sold off a bunch of fish and plants. Not planning on getting out of the fish hobby by no means. But as I was talking about in the last live stream, I just want to get to a reasonable amount of tanks that I can enjoy. One update in the reptile room, fingers crossed, hopefully. I've seen my turtles digging. They keep digging up a mound, and I caught the female backed into it one day, and I was hoping she laid eggs, but I gave it a day or two later and dug it up and nothing there. But that's a good sign that maybe eggs are coming, and that would definitely be exciting. As always, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the stream, for everybody here and for the replay crew, this is Noodle, my pinstripe ball python. He's my first snake and my co-host. So he's in every episode, and he's going to be in every live stream permitting, unless one day something happens where he can't. But I don't foresee why that would be an issue, because I feed on Tuesdays and breed on Tuesdays, so weekends are always available. But yeah, saltwater though, I enjoy it. I think it's beautiful, but I just ain't ready to take that plunge. That's an expensive plunge. See, we got 5 people in the stream. Appreciate everybody being here. I know this is still new. This is only the 2nd stream. Hopefully we can, you know, keep putting one out a week, and hopefully more people start filing in and make my job easier by being active in the chat. I know I always enjoy that when I go on a stream and you can just kind of watch the stream, but also conversate with everybody in the stream. But yeah, I hope everybody's having a good new year so far. I know it's only one day in. I'm sure there's already been some New Year resolutions broke. But yeah, I'm definitely encouraged. I'm sad to see my tanks emptied out. Me and my wife last night, I turned the lights off on them. As you could see when I rotated the camera around, there wasn't no lights on, and it made me kind of sad to not see them going. But at the same time, about 30 minutes after sitting down, I just really felt relieved. Like I just took my aquariums down to half of what I have to take care of. That's going to allow me to put a lot more work into them. So Crypt Keeper Aquatic says, about how much does a proper setup cost for a small beginner snake? What does it include? And honestly, it depends on what route you want to go. So I think Dave was referring to what you said and said around 500. I would say it depends on what route you want to go. Like anything else, you can go really budget or really high. Now with aquariums, you can buy used aquariums and save money, but you still need an aquarium in the end. With snakes, you can get away with getting a, you know, just a plastic tub from like Walmart or something. Just make sure it's an appropriate size. If it's a see-through tub, you provide a plastic hide in it. If it's not, then you know if it's not see-through, you don't need a hide. And if you want to go the enclosure or the tub route, which is a big debate, and I think both are a great thing. You know, for a reptile enclosure, like a glass 40-gallon terrarium, which I think you would need bigger in the long run, but for starting out, I think you could source one on Marketplace for around $100. And then you're going to be looking into getting a heating pad and a thermostat. I would recommend buying new. I'm sure I'm not exact on the pricing, but I'm going to guess that's probably around 100 as well. You know, then bedding and everything else. I think Dave would have a good estimate. I would say close to 500. I would say more depending on what route you want to go. You may get as low as 300 if you source around and get things cheaper. But if you want to go to the 9s and decorate it out and do backgrounds and all kinds of stuff, then you may end up with a little more. My wife is trolling me saying, what is your favorite tarantula that you've got? And the reason she's asking me that is because if I don't say my green bottle blue, the one she bought me for $300, I'm going to be in trouble. But if you hear my wife in the background, we've got a new puppy and he's a handful. But and he's real bitey. But yeah, I may get in trouble for saying this, but the one my wife got me, my green bottle blue, is probably my second favorite. I would have to say my Brazilian black tarantula, Big Daddy, is probably my favorite. But I definitely love the one she got me too. Right. Dave says misc stuff, food. It's a min pin, go figure. Yes, Dave. It is a ball of energy and fire. And I named him Rocket, which was like, you know, naming a dog Lucky because now he's 1,000,000 miles an hour. What's going on, Select Pet? Welcome to the stream. Happy New Year. Good to see you. Select Pet says you lost track of time. I can't keep up with it. I'm late to everything, but thankfully I've been good about keeping my streams on time. Just wait till the day I'm 20 minutes late. I know that's coming. But yeah, I would say with snakes, if you go the route I go, which is I do tubs. You buy a big tub rack, and the initial cost is going to cost you a little bit, but once you get it, you can keep adding snakes. Then from there, it's how much do you want to invest in snakes? You know, are you buying hatchlings or adults? Are you buying expensive morphs or common morphs? Me personally, I did the math the other day. I've got 7 ball pythons. I've got 6, and 1 is supposed to be coming in on the 10th, and I think the 10th, but somewhere in that range. And I've currently got about $4,200 in my snakes, 7 snakes. But I've also got all adult breeding ball pythons, so you know I paid a premium for somebody else taking the time to grow them up. You can definitely source snakes a lot cheaper if you're willing to get babies. But if you're doing it for a pet, I would say 1,000,000% get a baby, get a hatchling. But if you're wanting to breed, males can breed sometimes in the first 1 to 2 years. Females usually take about 3 years to mature enough for breeding. So, you know, that's quite the wait. Crypt Keeper says, are snakes an okay choice for someone who never kept any reptile before, or are there easier reptile of kind learn? Let's see, I'm terrible at reading. I'm from Union County, so forgive me. Some of the reptile care, what would be like the easiest? I would say, for me personally, I would definitely say that snakes are one of the easiest. The only thing that would make snakes less easy would be your fear of snakes, I would say, because some people are intimidated by snakes. I personally grew up catching snakes in the wild because I'm in the country, and they just never bothered me that bad. But I would say, honestly, like a ball python is one of the easiest beginner pets as far as reptiles go. The only thing that you may run into with a ball python is sometimes they go off food, and they can go without food for a long time. And it's not harmful to them. But you can get other snakes as well, and they're more food responsive, but they're also more nippy. One good thing about ball pythons is they're not very likely to bite. Other beginner reptiles, I would say snakes. Snakes, I would say number 2. Honestly, my number 1 easiest pick for reptiles is crested geckos. You look into getting crested geckos, those things are easy. As long as you don't mind spraying them. You're supposed to spray them once to twice a day, mist them down. We do it in morning and night. And you feed them a powder mixed with some water every second day, so every other day. And that's basically it. They're diurnal, I think that's the right word, where they're awake at morning and at night. But you can get them out during the day. It's no big deal. They live at room temperature, so you don't need heat. They don't take any special kind of lighting. They don't need UVB. You can provide it. It's always beneficial, but they don't need it. And if you set them up with a tank with dirt and like isopods and stuff like that to make it bioactive, you almost basically don't even have to clean the tank. So they're autopilot. Crested geckos and ball pythons, I would say about as easy as it gets. So let me get back into the comments here because I know I can ramble. Select Pet says he votes snakes. The easiest if you aren't afraid. The next would be leopard geckos. Leopard geckos definitely also easy. You have to feed them insects, so that's a thing in its own. And they need heat, so they need a heat mat. But they're also very easy. I definitely agree. And Select Pet's also right. He says corn snakes are a good beginner. They definitely are. A lot of people's first snake's a corn snake, and it's for a good reason. John may know. I know he's knowledgeable in reptiles as well, so he can correct me if I'm not right. But I believe that corn snakes, they're colubrids as well. So you're supposed to brumate them, which is basically means hibernate in reptile talk, once a year. But I know a lot of reptiles, it's just if you're breeding. So they say if you don't brumate them and you plan on breeding, they won't breed. But a lot of reptile people say that if you not plan on breeding, it's okay to not brumate. That's another one of those do your own research. So Crip's talking to Select Pet saying that that's the top he'd begin first. Yeah, corn snakes are definitely awesome. Look into I think they're called the reverse Okeetees. They're like orange and white, I believe. I might have something a little off there, but it's an orange and white snake I'm thinking of. Those things are stunning. I was this close to buying some one time. Select Pet says he's never brewmade any of his. You know how the internet is. You get on the internet and they tell you do everything to the nines or your animal will die. So I would definitely believe it. I've got my Tegu and they're supposed to brewmate, and I'm not planning on brewmating him. If he goes down, I'll let him brewmate, but I'm not going to lock him in a tote and force him to do it either. So that tells you my opinion on it. But opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one and they all stink. So always do your own research. But yeah, corn snakes are pretty sweet. Like you said, they're a little slimmer, so they're not as intimidating as something, you know, ball pythons don't get that big, but they're a little more girthier. They're a little bigger. If I was in my reptile room, I'd get out one of my big females and show you her. She's quite a hoss, but she's the exception of the rule. She's not the most friendly. I named her Sugar, which is also like naming a dog Lucky, because naming a snake Sugar, of course, she'd be the one to take a lick at me, and she definitely snapped at me before. And she's a big girl. I think she was like 2,500 grams. So, but yeah, I think snakes are awesome. Honestly, they're my favorite of all my fish, reptiles, everything. The guinea pigs, the dog, all of the animals. Snakes are my favorite. I think they're the easiest thing to take care of. Like I said, excepting crested geckos. I think crested geckos are a little easier, but I like snakes better. Most of my fish and animals, I don't plan on trying to get a lot more of, but snakes are definitely something I plan on getting more of. Basement Aquatics. Dave says, how about a fish question? Fire away, Dave. You ask me a question, I will give my best attempt of an answer. You got to watch me because I will straight go in reptile mode. See, Slick Pet says, king snakes are my pick above corn snakes, but since king snakes are eaters, I suggest corns for beginners above kings. I agree. King snakes are beautiful, especially like the Mexican black king snakes. Those are gorgeous, but they're king snakes. They're bad to bite. They're very food driven. So you get a king snake, more than likely you're going to get bit by your king snake. Basement Aquatics with Dave says, do you still have Shelleys? I definitely do. They are in dire need of an upgrade. I was looking that way because I can see them from here, even though y'all can't. So, but they are in my 40-gallon, and they're really filling them out. And I'm a fish hoarder, and I don't want to sell any, so I need to get a bigger tank so I can just keep them all. Eventually, I know I'm going to have to sell. It's inevitable, but I'd like to just keep them as long as I can. I do the same thing with my guppies. That's what somebody asked me the other day. They're like, do you want to sell some of your guppies? And I was like, I tell you what, I mean, I shouldn't make this public knowledge. I'm not giving out free guppies, but it was a close friend. I told him, well, you could have a couple if you want, but I really don't want to sell them because I'm a guppy hoarder. Select Pet says, just if you go corn or king snake over a ball python, be aware they are a little more runny. That is true. They will try to run out of your hands. As you can see, this is why I like ball pythons. Me and Noodle, most of the time, we just sit here and chill, and he's chill, and he don't try to get away from me. A lot of the colubrids and stuff, they're runners. So something to be aware of. It's not a big deal, but it requires more attention. Crypt Keeper Aquatic says, what about milk snakes? I like their patterning a lot. Milk snakes are pretty sweet, and I know a local guy that breeds milk snakes that come out with that white and red pattern but turn solid black. I've been tempted with those as well. I know that kind of goes against the pattern thing, but they're a very attractive snake as well. I just try to, I've got collectoritis. I want everything. So, you know, let's be realistic. That's why I have a house full of fish and snakes and everything else. But I try to limit myself to stay focused in the things that I really enjoy. and not get one of everything. Select Pet says, I hear there may be an ETAA swap in the future. Sounds like a good time to share shell dwellers and guppies with others. Shh. Don't tell them I have an abundance. No, I know. I do need to. Not just for the profit, but just to get them out there to the community. I mean, I know. I should be wanting other people to experience what I have. And I have give away Shellies once and give away some guppies. And awesome enough, the guy I gave Shellies to showed up at our fish Christmas party and was telling me about them and how he was really enjoying them. So that was actually a really great feeling. Even though I don't like giving them up, that did feel good. But I still want to get a bigger tank and hoard them as long as I can. Dave is laughing. Dave, don't you be telling them either. No, I love the Shellies and the guppies though. They're some of my favorite, and my electric blue Cara. Those are 3 fish that I plan on keeping. Well, let's just say I don't have any plans of getting rid of them anytime soon. I've sold a lot of fish off and sold most of my shrimp and a lot of my plants, but those are some things I want to hold on to. I really enjoy them. They're some of my favorites. Oh, I just seen this in the camera over here. Got to figure out this point backwards thing. I just want to let you know, if you see my flower horn over here being a butthole, don't judge me. I got to get him out this evening. I was trying him out with my turtle and my two goldfish, and he's not doing any damage to anybody. But the first day he was great. Him and the turtle just sit there and went around each other, just checking each other out, and then they went separate ways. And they haven't bothered each other. But today I've noticed he has been chasing the goldfish around. His tank got real cold when we had that cold snap, so I had to move him out of it into a 20. And then I broke down the 20s, so I moved him in with them until I could get a heater. This is why it's good to keep backup tanks, folks. Don't be like Keeper King. But so yeah, now he's in there right now. I'm hoping he'll just get over it and stop being a butthole. But I'd say I'm gonna have to move him again. Let's see. Select Pet says milk snakes are a king snake. Remember, they will eat other snakes, and some get confused and will go after their own tail, and you can't cohabitate them. Some say you shouldn't cohab any reptile, though. That is true. Some say you shouldn't cohab any reptile. I've found success with a couple that I disagree with, but be warned, if you go on a group talking about cohabbing anything, you're going to get roasted and set on fire. So be prepared to debate to the death. Just throwing that out there for a disclaimer. Dave says, just coming to terms with letting go of some cribs. It's hard, man. When you really love something and you produced it, you don't want to let it go. I mean, that's the love of it. I feel like if you don't feel that kind of love, you're not doing it right. But you still got to let some go eventually. Just not yet for me. Just not yet. Select Pet says, you don't have to get rid of them. Sorry, it jumped on me. Just share some of them with the others. That way there's a backup colony for future just in case. That is also true, especially if you've got if you've got a breeding project that you're really working on and you're like, say you're trying to work a line or build something new or whatever, or something you're really passionate about that's hard to get. Select Pet is 100% right. It's always a good idea to spread that to, if not one, maybe 2 different people, just in case theirs die off or go bad or yours die off. You've got a rotation there that you can just get everybody back in. That is definitely solid advice. Oh, Crypt Keeper's asking, are snakes their primary diet, referring to kings? Oh, like if I get a milk or king, will I have to have another snake breeding out of a good source for the milk king? I'm sure Select Pet's already going over that, but I'll go ahead and throw in too that no, it's not. You definitely can feed them rodents. They also eat snakes. You don't have to feed them snakes, but they will eat snakes. That's one of those things. But some people that are really serious about it will like source, you know, when you're breeding, you'll have some births that don't go good and you'll have stillborns and things like that. I wouldn't recommend getting anything that died of sickness, but things that die of natural causes. Some people will source snakes like that and feed them their king snakes. But that's not something you have to do at all. That's just if you want to go to the 9s. Also, I will throw out, just like John's talking about how they eat other snakes. It's one thing you have to be careful with them, because if you're like me and you handle snakes back to back, which I know you're just talking about getting your first one, but future reference, if you handle a snake and then handle your king snake, you've got that smell on you, and that will definitely lead to you getting bit. So that's something else to be aware of. Basement Aquatics with Dave says, a new home for Julie's and Frontosas. A new home for Julie's and Frontosas. Maybe I missed. Oh, okay. I missed a comment beforehand. It says, need tank space. I'm so fickle. I want to branch out into some new stuff. Yeah, that's the thing. You fill up with a bunch of fish and you need to get rid of stuff, and then you get rid of stuff, and then you want new stuff. It's a never-ending battle. Right now, I'm slimming down my tanks and I'm enjoying it, but I know how it goes. If I get down to a low amount of tanks, I'm going to be like, man, I want to get something different. I already know fish that I would like to get if I do decide to get other things. But right now, I'm trying to stay more focused in my money in the reptiles. Don't worry. I know I got a lot of fishy friends, probably more than reptile friends. I'm not getting out of fish, but I feel like I can get just as much enjoyment out of 5 to 10 tanks instead of 20 or 25. Whereas in the reptiles, they have individual personalities, so it's different owning different ones. And of course, I'm not doing the snakes just for the money, but let's be honest. If you're going to invest a lot of money in something, you're hopefully hoping it will invest some money back in you, whether you end up with a free hobby or some cash on top. So snakes could pay the bills one day, and hopefully an early retirement is what I'm hoping. I'm not hoping to quit my job, but I'm hoping maybe one day I can quit my job at a younger age and play with reptiles for a living, because I feel like you should always have a job. I think when you quit working, that's when you go downhill. So that's my long-term goal, if anybody was wondering. Select Pet says, I look at every inch. Can I fit another tank there? I've definitely went through that a lot. I'm not doing that now, but it's been an issue. Dave says, I want Geophagus also. Geophagus are dope. I will say a lot of Geophagus look plain, but there are some killers there. What is the one Geophagus Tapajos. Those are hands down my favorite, with the candy cane striped tails. Those things are mint. They're gorgeous. I've always lusted after those and wanted some. And I'll tell you where I always see them is Primetime Aquatics. He's got some of those that are killer. John, I meant to ask you this the other day. Can I make somebody a mod while on StreamYard, or do I have to be on YouTube? You know, I'm still a newbie at this whole streaming thing. See, Crypt Keeper says, sounds like me, LOL. Oh, chat jumped on me. Setting up a rack of 12 more tanks soon to bring my total to 26. Yes, I've been there. Crypt Keeper, you may have my total beat. I don't know if I got to 26. If I did, that's as high as I get. Let's put it that way. I know I was in the mid-20s somewhere. Select Pet says, I knew a guy back when I owned the pet store that went full-time breeding reptiles. He made a ton of breeding various feeders too. He ended up with 2 sheds behind his house with them. Yeah, it's you know, it's one of those things where you can end up with a lot of stuff to take care of and not be making much money, or some people are successful, but it's not a get rich quick, and there's definitely a lot of work involved. That's why everybody wants get rich quick, but that's not life. Crypt Keeper says, I think you have to do new mod through the YouTube app. John following up says, I think it's just through YouTube. Been a while since I streamed. And Crypt Keeper says, can use internet browser and go to YouTube Studio to add a mod. Well, I don't want to crash the stream by trying stuff. I do see... No, I can put people in time and star comments through this. I don't know how I do it through the studio, because I don't know how to watch a video through a studio. I may have to just try that in the next stream. I don't think I'm popular enough to get robots yet anyway, So next stream, what I'll probably do is log my YouTube in on my wife's phone. That way, while I'm streaming, I can go on there and make a few of my faithful friends here mods. Let's see. Basement Dave says, there we go, Basement Dave. that's easier for me to say, or just Dave. It's not that I want a bunch of tanks. I just 5 or 6 that have enough variety. That's what I'm shooting for, Dave. Just I want variety. I don't just want one fish, but I don't want 5 million. But that's kind of the boat I'm in. Crypt Keeper says, can you borrow your wife's phone? I probably could. But you know how it is when you try to sign into an account on a different device, your Google account goes into government lockdown mode. I probably shouldn't use words like that in a stream, but it wants you to verify everything and go over passwords and blah, blah, blah. So I don't want to try that in the middle of the stream. So I'll probably, before I start the stream next Sunday, I'll log in before the stream starts. Select Pet says, try clicking on the name avatar and see if it gives you options. There's 3 dots next to it, and it does that, but no, I don't think it can. Select Pet says, I'm so tempted to go out and reseal a 55 tonight. And Select Pet also says, I want 5 million. I'm at around 40 now. You are the true fish guy, John. Not many of us have that patience, but we're thankful for guys like you that do. And as far as the resealing and wanting to reseal, you're a crazy man, because I hate resealing tanks. I never want to reseal a tank. I just do it out of necessity. And honestly, I don't really do it much anymore. Don't let me scare anybody off if you haven't resealed a tank. It's not that bad. It's just annoying to me. The one piece of advice I would give is, if you do reseal a tank, scrape every bit of the silicone out, scrape it again, soak it down with alcohol, scrape it one more time. Make sure you get all that old silicone off, because new silicone doesn't bond to old. And you'll think you got everything, and you'll go over it again. You're like, where are these clear shavings coming from? There's always more. And then if you're OCD like me, tape off your silicone lines before you silicone. If you're not, a lot of my friends just swipe and go, but I can't do that. That will kill me on the inside. Let's see. I'm falling behind on the comments here, which is normal because I am a jabberjaw. Crypt Keeper says, most of my tanks are shrimp right now. 13 Caradina, 3 Neos, and a 75-gallon community. That's dope. That's a sweet setup. I right now, this little, let's see, right there-ish, right there, the bright one, that's a cherry shrimp 10-gallon. And that is my only shrimp tank at the moment. I had a bunch of Blue Dreams mixed with Blue Realies, but I sold them all in this breaking down. But I would like to do more shrimp. And I thought about just doing a mixed tank like the Skrittles. I think the mixed shrimp are pretty awesome. Dave says, when I ran the fish store, managing 80 tanks nearly burned me out from keeping. Yes, that's the thing. You know, you want everything. You watch the videos. You see everything you want. And then you collect a bunch of them, and then next thing you know, you're like, I'm doing more work than enjoyment, and this is making me not enjoy this, and it can burn you out, you know. So you gotta be careful how quick you dive in. The longer you do it, the easier it is to add on. But there's still, everybody's got a limit. Some guys is 5 tanks, some guys is 500. Me, I can do up to 20 and feel comfortable, but I really like that 5 to 10 range. That's it for me. Let's see. Comments are rolling on, and it jumped on me. Select Pet says, I got a leaking 55 that's been on its side for a few months. I don't reseal anything less than a 55. Fact. Well, I would probably do a 40 breeder, but I'm with you there. Crap on resealing small tanks. It's not worth the money. Definitely. He says, oh yeah, I totally understand burnout. I got there with the store, but in my shed, I keep new projects going and new species and challenges going. And you keep a lot of the care species, so there's more meaning behind some of the stuff you keep, John. You know, there's a passion behind the project, and that makes a difference too. I mean, hopefully there's always a passion with whatever anybody's working with, but just throwing that out there. Crypt Keeper says, new rack will be trying to get some Caridina hybrids containing forgive my terrible reading, serotonin, I'm sure I butchered that, to accept and breed in tap water here in town. Want to be able to sell some of the nicer hybrids to local hobbyists. Shrimp are a great thing to keep because they are money makers. They're easy to keep in high qualities in small tanks, and they're super dope, and they're easy to catch. I mean, I'm sure you already know all this, but I'm just backing you up because I think shrimp are awesome. I would love to keep more shrimp. It's cool. You look at a tank and you think there's nothing in there, and you get up close and you're like, dude, there's 5 million little shrimp in here. And not that it's about the money, but hey, we live in America and money is money. There's nothing cooler than like this many dollars every time you scoop a shrimp. It's definitely feels good because in the fish world, you don't make much money. So when you can make money on something, it feels good. Excuse me. Crypt Keeper says, your second pronunciation was correct. Okay. Hey, sometimes a blind dog does get a bone. I'm definitely not the English guy. I can whip out some big words sometimes, but I'm more of a math guy than English. Select Pet says, I'm supposed to go pick up around about 200 Neos tomorrow to expand my shrimp colonies. Oh, that is awesome. I've never bought shrimp in that big of a capacity. It would definitely be exciting. I would be geeking out dumping those into a tank. Like I said, right now, I like my little cherries. I don't plan on getting rid of them. But my plan is right now, so I've gotten rid of 10 tanks, as I said. I'm down to 9. So I've got 2 20 longs, 3 40 breeders, 2 75s, a 10, and my 210. So that's what I'm currently working with. 210 ain't going nowhere. The 2 20 longs are going to go, and hopefully the 3 40 breeders and the 2 75s are going to go. And I'm going to replace them with a 125 and 360 breeders to begin with. And later on, maybe another 360 breeders. So obviously my 360 breeders are going to go for my guppies, my blue car, my shillies that I already have. So they'll all get a 20-gallon upgrade and a bigger tank. And then hopefully I'll get another triple 30 or 30, dang it, 60 breeder setup. And then that'll allow me to expand into, 2 or 3 other things because I don't want to completely get out of it. I just want to keep less. I don't want to keep a bunch. It's hard for me here. For those in the chat that don't know, I have sulfur water, and I don't know if I could use it for full water changes or not, but I'm afraid to test it and try out. So I drive 7 minutes down the road with a 300-gallon tote, and I fill it up at my mom's house, and that's how I do water changes. So water changes are a little brutal. Let's see. Dave saying that's cool. Crypt Keeper says that's cool. Select Pet says it took a lot of negotiating and some decent money, but I got a real good deal. That's awesome. Hey, those bulk buys, that's where you can make it right there. Looks like we're coming up on a little past the halfway mark. We're up to 38 minutes. Just like last time, I think I'm going to keep this to an hour. I think that's a good, comfortable zone for me. Maybe one day, if the stream gets real successful and we have a ton of people, maybe I'll push to an hour and a half, but I don't ever see it going longer than that. Who knows? But for right now, I think that's a sweet spot. I feel like 30 minutes is short for a live stream, but I feel like an hour is don't push your guests too far right now because you're just starting out. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, I'm hoping just a random, more fishy subject. I think that, okay, so if I get my 360 breeders and my 125, like I talked about, and that's, of course, upgrades for my fish that I have. I'm thinking if I get another 360 breeders, one could be, like I said, the mixed shrimp tank. I think that would be awesome. A 60-gallon just full of shrimp and plants. That would be awesome. I've always wanted to do the trout goodeids. I think trout goodeids are super awesome. So that's another one I've thought of. And I'm still really thinking about doing some cichlids, just some classic cichlids like the yellow labs and some purple tail ACIs. I would want to buy farm, purebred quality to start off with. But I've never been big into the cichlids, so I've always thought that would be cool. You know, it's like a part of the hobby I've skipped on. I just never was into it. But now I think where I haven't had it, I've kind of lusted after that. Let's see. Dave says, is that a big crypt or a sword in the 210? Yeah, that one, this one right here, that is just a big old massive crypt plant. There's quite a few in there. There's crypt, there's buse, there is Anubius, and there's some sad attempts of Java fern floating around in there. And that is all that I've gotten to survive with the goldfish. There used to be, little fun fact, there used to be a mother sword plant even bigger than this crypt. There is still remnants of it back there, but you can't see it in this video. But my Placos just devour it. But that's okay, because I know they get to eat. Slick Pet says a couple red varieties, a couple blues, yellows, and some unknowns. I bought a breeder's whole collection. He's getting out and going all cichlid. It's always sad to see somebody quit something, but it is where you get the deals. I've gotten some serious deals on tanks and things from people that was just like, look, I'm done. And I'm like, look, that breaks my heart, but I'm about to come up on this deal, because if I don't, somebody else will. Let's see. Crypt Keeper says, what are some challenges with keeping snakes you wish you knew before you started? It's a good thing that I have to think hard about it, because it means there's not many challenges, in my opinion. You know, I can't really say. I just don't have that many challenges with them. They're truly an easy thing to take care of. Now, keep in mind, I've only kept ball pythons and my one Burmese python, who is still just an adolescent. She's like 4 foot. So I don't have colubrid experience, or I haven't kept hognose or anything like that. But honestly, I can't think of nothing, man. They're easy. They're so easy to care for. Yeah, I don't know. I'm drawing a blank. That's a good thing. But I'm trying to think of something that I'm like, man, I didn't expect this. This is a little bit aggravating. But what do you, honey, do you think? Is there anything I've complained about the snakes or anything? Oh, they're easy, man. I love them. I love them. Price tag, I complain about that. But I also have expensive tastes. And that is a self issue. Select Pet says, well, shoot, everybody wants trout goodies. I should have kept mine. I moved them out when I found out they weren't carrots. You're a true dedicated carrots, man. They're gorgeous. They're cool to look at. I've always thought, you know, don't get me wrong. I'm not cracking on goodies, so don't leave my stream, John. But a lot of goodies, they just have that wild top look. But trout goodies are just gorgeous, man. And let me just back up a little bit and say that I have goodies that I've got from John, and I still have them out of all the things I've sold. So I still love carrot species goodies. But trout goodies, those things are sweet. Dave says Java ferns seem to suffer in Tennessee. Weird. I know. I wish Mitch was here, because he would be like, somebody besides me in the dreaded Java fern. I don't know, man. Everybody says they work great for them. I'm not saying I've spread Java ferns throughout all my tanks and tried it, but they die for me. They make a bunch of babies because they're dying, but then the babies drift out and die too. They're not my jam, man. And let me go ahead and say another thing. Regular Java ferns, if they work good for you, they don't work good for me. They look cool. The little Java ferns, let's see, is it Wendell, I think? It's got the spirit fingers. Yeah, I don't like those. I think they look funny. I like the classic Java fern. It's like Pet says, Crypt 1, they are escape artists. 2, watch out for mites. 3, don't worry if they don't eat. 4, watch their humidity. All good advice. All good advice. Mites, you got me there. I will say, I got mites from somebody, and that was a pain in the butt. I was so aggravated trying to get rid of them. So John definitely reminded me of that. Mites are a pain in the butt, but I figured out a way to get rid of them. It's in one of my videos. If you ever have an issue, let me know. It's not a textbook solution, so some people are going to say don't do that, but I did it one time, and I haven't had mites since, so that's what I'll be doing. And we'll leave that at that. But, yeah, and I haven't had an issue with snakes going on a fast really that bad. except for my berm. My berm did go without food for a while, but I don't get stressed out too easily. And I know the textbook information of how long snakes can go without food, so it doesn't stress me out. But some people can know and it still stresses them. What's going on, Golden White Light? Welcome to the stream. Happy New Year. Glad to have you here. He says, today I sold a 50-gallon lowboy terrarium with a stand for $46 since it was taking up 4x2 in my room. Hey, that's a good deal, man. I would have jumped all over that terrarium, and I don't even need it. That's sweet. But yeah, there are some deals to be had out there. You just got to watch. I mean, I would say almost all of my stuff, for the most part, has been used equipment I've gotten on Marketplace. And I've even drove hours, like up to 5 to 6 hours for big tanks and things. There are deals to be had if you're willing to search for them. Crypt Keeper says, I don't think I have anything from the cares list yet. One day I'll find something, I'm sure. You will, you will. There's just look around. There's one tiger limnias. I think I'm saying that right. John will probably know. I want those. They're like green and black striped fish. They're cares. I've always wanted some of those, but never got them. I think Greg Sage maybe, or one of those OGs breeds them. Crypt Keeper says add a little potassium, keep KH low. Everybody says with crypts, he's referring to the crypt plants, I'm sure, that potassium is a big thing. So maybe that's true, you know. Slick Pet says 3 tanks out of 40 grow Java Fern for me. All the others, no luck. I don't know what it is, man. Java Fern, it's the hot and cold. You either rock at it or you stink at it, I guess. Let's see. I'm just scrolling here to see. Oh, yeah, I'm a little behind on the comments. Let's try to get through some of these. Crypt Keeper says, Java Fern didn't do good in my tap water. Does great in Caridina parameters. Slick Pet says, I bet you may crypts there are stuff on the list. Oh, talking about the care species, you might not expect. There are a lot of care species you wouldn't think. Dave says, I'm dosing complete now, so I'm on a better run. I ran with the aquarium co-op for when I was newer in it, and I'm a lazy keeper, man. I don't do a lot of ferts. He says, I got Nylock G stuff. Crypt Keeper says, my endlers don't have origin tracing, so they can't be in class. That disqualifies from being a care if they even are on the list, right? John will know that. I personally won't know, but I would think that you do have to keep it documented to a certain extent, especially with something like endlers where they can be so mixed. I didn't know endlers were on a cares list, but also I'm not a cares list expert. I don't know a lot about the care species. I just know little tidbits that I've learned here and there. 7 people on the stream. Just want to thank everybody for being here. Appreciate you. If you're like I used to be and you're a lurker, hey, don't be scared to throw a comment out there. You know, we're all just fish and reptile nerds here. But yeah, I think that's the one the care species. I think they're tiger limnias. I really like them. Let's see. Bella S., welcome to the stream. Happy New Year. Thanks for coming. She says, when did you notice the hobby was the one for you? Well, I'm not first time here, by the way. Thanks for coming. I definitely appreciate it. Thanks for commenting. For me, it was about, I'm saying, going on 4 years ago. To make a long story short, I was pretty wild and living a pretty bad lifestyle, and I got saved and gave my life to the Lord. And I needed something to spend my money on because I didn't need to walk around with money in my pocket at that time. So my buddy talked me into getting a fish tank, which to his response, at that time, he had been trying to talk me into it for a long time. And I was like, I don't want no stinking fish tank. Well, just like everybody says, I got addicted to it real quick. And I got a lot of fish tanks. And then about a year later, I bought my first reptile, and then I got addicted to that. And I love it. I honestly didn't know I would have a passion for animals like this. So, you know, they always say you never know what's around the corner in life or what's going to change. If you would have told me I had a house full of fish and reptiles, being the person I am, I would have said you're crazy. But here I am, and honestly, this is the most fun and enjoyable and gratifying and all that jazz hobby I've ever had. I love it. I think it's great in every way. But thanks for that question. Thanks for commenting. It's always a fun one to talk about the hobby and why you like it. My wife says, what is your least favorite animal you got? Oh, that's hard. Why would you do that to me, baby? My least favorite animal. Silver Creek Aquatics. What's up, my friend? Thank you for joining the stream. Happy New Year. Let's see. She asked me a hard question, but I'm a firm believer in answering every question. Leave it to my wife to ask me the hard one. What is my least favorite animal? That's hard because I really love everything I have. You know what? I'm going to do a cop out on this one, and I'm going to say my flower horn because that's the one I've got posted for sale right now. And I love my flower horn. The look she's giving me, she's like, you're a dirty traitor. He's even got a name. His name's Einstein. I love my flower horn, but I'm just not a big fish, one fish in a tank kind of guy. It's just not my thing. I love him, but I'm to the point now where I'm okay with letting him go. I'm okay if he stays, and I'll still love him. But if he goes, I'm not going to cry about it. My wife said she will. Crib Keeper says, oof, that's not a fair question, Michelle. That's what I'm saying, Crib Keeper. At least somebody's got my back here. Yeah, you know, I love all my animals. I've really tried hard to keep things I only enjoy keeping. I've had a few animals that I didn't enjoy, and I moved them on to a good home. I didn't just dump them off on the first candidate. I didn't give them away for free, so I'm not going to pretend to be that kind of saint. I did recoup some money, but you know, you don't know what you like until you keep it. And I think it's unfair because in fish, in aquariums, if you get a fish and you don't like it or it dies, you don't get as much heat. In reptiles, if you get a reptile and you don't like it and you try to get rid of it soon after, people will roast you to the grave because they say that animal has just as many rights as you and blah, blah. And I'm not going to get into all that. I love animals, obviously. I have a house full of them. But I'm just saying, you know, I've kept reptiles that I didn't enjoy and I moved them on. And you don't know what you do and don't enjoy until you do. And my advice isn't, see, people will say, if you get something, you need to keep that until it dies and give it the best life it can. I have a separate opinion. Now, if you get 7 different animals and you get rid of those 7 different animals, maybe consider stop getting animals. It might not be for you at all. But if you get an animal and you're not passionate about it, move it on to somebody that will be passionate about it, whether you're selling it or giving it away, whatever your heart leads you to do. But don't keep something you're not passionate about because you're never going to put that full effort into it like you should. Let's see. Sorry about that. I had a message, but I can't answer right now. Basement Dave says, have you ever had a bird? No birds, Dave. Oh, you know what? Nope, that's a lie. I lied. I had chickens. I love chickens. No indoor birds. I think birds are beautiful. I think they're cool as crap. I do not want them in my house. They squawk too much, they poop too much, and they fly everywhere. Please, if anybody loves birds, don't hate me. I love birds. I just don't love them here. But I love chickens. I love chickens. I had 7 outdoor hens, and it was my favorite thing to open the door in the morning. They're all standing there like, ah! I love that. That was zen. Dave says, birds for me are something I can appreciate but could never keep. Right. The chirping constant would drive me insane after a few days. That's me. I can't do it. I just can't. They're a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's just not a thing for Kane. Dave says, I have stories. Tell them away, Dave. He said, I've had a few parrots. Silver Creek says, right. There are plenty of rescues out there as well that will help rehome to a good home. That's right. That is definitely right. That's what they're there for. It's not to take advantage of them, but, you know, that's what they're there for. Which, you know, rehome or rescues have mixed emotions. So don't get me too started into rescues. There are some awesome rescues and some awesome people. And then there, unfortunately, I don't care what end of hobby or anything you're into, there's going to be a good and a bad side. So we'll go ahead and throw that out there. But there are some rescues that choose to conveniently take all the things they want and that are worth money. And that is not cool. But thank goodness for all the rescues out there that really are in it for the heart and the passion, because I couldn't do what they do, and they pour their heart and soul into it, the ones that do. Crip says fish and shrimp are fairly quiet. That's my happy place. That's right, exactly. And low maintenance compared to some animals. Somebody I know in this same room got a puppy, and my complaint in the last week is that I have a whole house full of animals and nothing requires as much care and attention as this puppy. But I love our little puppy. He's awesome. I would get him, but it's not good keeper practice to hold a snake and a dog at the same time, especially when that dog is rat-sized. Silver Creek says there are some good rescues out there and there are some bad ones out there, but it's not hard to find very good and reputable ones. That's exactly right. It is, because one good thing, because there's a lot of bad things about the internet nowadays, but one good thing about the internet and social media is, thankfully, if there is a bad one, they usually get put on blast before too long, and a lot of the local keepers will just boot them to the curb with a swift post or two, which is good, because, you know, we need to give the people the praise that deserve it, and to the ones that don't, we need to just move them along the line. Silver Creek says, is it a little mini pen? It is. It is. You know what? Come here, baby. You can show them the puppy. Just don't get him near Noodle, because, you know, safety first. Safety first. Noodle could be hungry. You'll have to give it a minute. We have the slowest electric recliners in the world. Let's see, I'll turn the camera a little bit here. And this is Rocket. He's our little min pen. Bring him down a little bit. Yeah, he is cute as could be. He is calm right now because it's late in the evening and he's tuckered out, but he is a wild thing. And he was the run of the litter, so he's even small for a min pen. We love him to death. My wife adores him because up until now, the rule has been no animals in the house if they can't live in a glass box or a cage. And, well, we all know I broke that rule. But hey, when you're with a woman that lets you keep a house full of snakes, spiders, rats, and fish, you let her have a puppy because she puts up with your crap. Crypt Keeper says, love the new puppy. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, we love him too. He's awesome. I didn't sleep for the first 2 nights because he cried all night. But, hey, that's a price to pay. And he's cool, and we'll have him for years and enjoy him. My mother had a min pin before, and it was a great dog, and so I already knew how they are. I know their energy and their size and their fearlessness to jump off of things they shouldn't. But it's a great dog. It's small, it's got short hair, it's all the things I need in a little happy dog, or a little house dog. I saw the word happy. Dave says, happy wife, happy life. That's right. You know, if the old lady ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. So we're coming up on the end here, guys. If there's anything else you want to throw out, now is the time. I want to try to keep it around an hour for the first few streams. Maybe eventually we'll go to an hour and a half, but I don't want to wear out my guests because I'm appreciating every one of y'all and having you here. What? Oh, okay. Yeah, I did. My wife pointed out I missed Dave's question here. He says, I'm curious about having a turtle. Aquatic or tortoise. Aquatic turtles, they're sweet. They're not, what do I want to say here? A lot of people keep turtles and they don't give them what they need. It's very important for them to get the right lighting, and it's very important for them to get a bigger tank. I have this one turtle and he's in a 75, and I'm already ready to move him up to a 125. And while I keep him with a few fish, it's not really optimal. A lot of times it's a turtle-only tank because your turtle won't put up with them or they'll kill them. So turtles are great. I love turtles. I wouldn't get rid of our turtle for nothing. I wouldn't be able to because we got on our honeymoon and my wife wouldn't let me anyway. But turtles are kind of a job. They're a little rougher on the water quality. They can dirty up tank a lot more. They take a big tank, and a lot of times they're solo species. So I would definitely do your research first because they are in a class of their own. I wouldn't relate them to reptiles or fish. I would say they're a whole separate thing. Crypt Keeper says, happy spouse, happy house. There you go. Crypt Keeper says, goes both ways. Dave says, this was a blast. Silver Creek says, amen to that. Basement, we've got a corgi on the way. We get to pick it up in January 17th. My daughter bought it with the money she saved up. Well, that's awesome. That's just a cool little happy story. I love dogs. I really do. I've got a lot in this house, and I didn't think I had time for a dog. Dave says, I appreciate you, Kane and Michelle. We appreciate you, Dave. I couldn't do the stream without you, buddy. Literally, we ain't got many of us, so the few of you that's here, I gotta have you here. Silver Creek says, my wife just told me about an hour ago that she wants poison dart frogs. Hashtag proud husband. That's definitely a proud husband, because dart frogs are dope. I've thought about getting dart frogs. It's just one of those, I've got a lot of stuff already, and I probably don't need to get something else. But dart frogs are cool because they come in bright colors. You get to keep a big old planted tank. And frogs are just cool, man. And they're small. Yeah, that's definitely something you want to hear from the old lady. All right. Looks like I'm caught up on the comments, and we are 1 minute past an hour. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I appreciate everybody for being here. I wish everybody a happy new year. Thank you for coming to the stream. Like I said, I couldn't do it without you guys, and hopefully we can just grow this to something big. As I always say, remember, your hobby can bring you joy, but only Jesus can bring you peace. Hope to see you guys next time.